I had a photograph, a Walker Evans photograph, in the form of a postcard that was on my bulletin board in my writing room, and it's the same image that's on the cover of the book. And so I was really thinking of that young couple hitchhiking during the Great Depression when Sharon started talking to me. And as I was walking home from the swamp, this voice, Sharon's voice, started talking in my head. That's me and him standing at the side of the road outside Joplin, Missouri. To look at it, you wouldn't know where it was, would you? Dirt road, bare trees. It could be anywhere, Arkansas or Mississippi. These Oklahoma hills even, where we came from. You wouldn't know what year either, but I can tell you. 1935. I believe it was March, maybe. The most difficult voice to come to was Harlan's, is the voice that in the book is called Deep Song. And it's Harlan's deep consciousness. It's a deep poetic voice. It's, I think, it's been described, it is like a song. When he saw her in the yard, her hand on the brush broom, her eyes big. How she dropped the broom as if it scalded her, and the sumac puffed a spit of dust while she skittered onto the porch, hid behind the cedar post, a young bandit coon, her silverish hair and tiny hands, her sloping nose and little mouth, and in her light face, the eyes, large and dark as mulberries. I try to most often have Sharon, sometimes it's the folk say voice that talks about what the sound is like, and they generally use descriptions of the natural world to compare the sound of Harlan's harp to, so that it sounds like a meadowlark singing. And most people can recreate that in their minds. You can't write about the Great Depression in Oklahoma in the same, you can't put them in the same phrase without calling up the imagery of that comes from The Grapes of Wrath, as much from the film as the novel. And so, since I knew that there was no way to write about this without having the comparisons made, I decided to engage with it directly. So, in fact, the folk say character in the book speaks directly. He doesn't mention John Steinbeck by name, but he says something along the lines of, people might have left, but it wouldn't have been on account of tractors and dust, no matter what some stranger might have wrote in a book. I think the sense of universality of being in a castle in Italy, surrounded by other artists, only one of whom was from the United States, and she was a composer, gave a kind of a richness to the finalizing of the book, and a greater sense of the universality that I was speaking of earlier, that it's not merely an Oklahoma story. It's an American story, and it's a human story that happens to take place in Oklahoma.